Welcome to Florida Focus, a college football podcast. My name is Brandon. I'm a lifetime Florida State Seminole fan.
And I am Chris, and I am a pleased Gator fan.
And we are putting aside our differences as rivals to bring you the fantastic world of college football throughout the Sunshine State. I say the word fantastic a lot, but it's indeed a good, fantastic week when both our teams win, correct?
Yes, it's always a good feeling. It's a fantastic feeling when one of your teams beats a big rival of yours by a lot. So yeah, fantastic is a great word to describe it, at least for this week.
Sure. So as usual, we're going to have Chris talk about the Gators, and I'll add some commentary. I'll break down the Noles and their victory. We will whip around the state of Florida. Certainly was a big upset in the other schools for sure, and we'll cover that in detail. But Chris, the floor is yours. Tell me your positives and opportunities for the Gators and their win over Tennessee.
Oh yeah. So Gators host Tennessee in the Swamp. They thump them 34-3, and there's a lot of positives on this show, and there are some negatives and some things that you're going to point to. But before I get into the whole positives, I'm going to throw this out there, a little caveat, disclaimer, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
Tennessee is not good. Okay, they are not a good football team.
Yeah.
They are trash. So I understand that. Going into what I'm about to say, know this, that Chris understands Tennessee is awful.
Fair enough.
So, but the Gators did look good. They really did. Starting off with Trask coming in here, being the starter, being the guy. How is he going to handle it? And he handled it well. He really did. He had some moments there, which I'll talk to later on, where he didn't. But overall, he goes in there, especially that first drive, looking perfect. That is the way you execute a drive. That's the way you open up a game. And the Gators have been opening up games pretty good. And it went down the field through a touchdown to Pitts there, which is becoming a matchup nightmare for most, the tight end there. And Trask did a great job. He threw for 293, 2 touchdowns, 2 picks, which I'll get to. But he seemed like he managed the offense, was for the most part confident, and he led us to victory. We put up 34 points, and you can't really argue with too much there. The running game was a little bit better, and it seemed like so Piron got 62 and a touchdown, and Pierce got a touchdown as well. But it seemed like the running game got better, as the game went on, mainly because we were starting to pull away. But also when Emory Jones got in, I think, and a lot of people that I'm listening to as well say the similar stuff, it seemed like the running game got better because Emory Jones was there with the read option, which he handed off majority of the time. But the threat of Jones running, I think, helped the running game. He handed it off to Pearson, Pirine, but just him being there, his presence there, I think really helped. Because then I think there was a stretch in the second half there where we hit like a 12-yard run, a 13-yard run, like a 7-yard run, and then Pierce scores for a touchdown. And something you weren't really seeing all season and even all game, but I think just the fact that Emory Jones is back there and could hold the ball and could take off really makes the linebackers stay back a little bit, and maybe even the defensive ends as well. So I liked that it was better. We weren't great at running, but we were better. There was improvements in there. But one of the things that I really liked on the offensive side of the ball was if you look at the stats of our receivers, you have Swain going for 67 and a touchdown, Pitts 62 and a touchdown, Grimes 60, Cleveland 43, Jefferson 31. Like the receivers, they're spreading it out. That is our most talented group, probably our deepest group, and the fact that we're going to all of them is really a good thing to see, and that's something that I hope we'll continue to do. And Trask went for 293 as a overall. We went over 300 yards passing with Emory Jones there, something we haven't done since like 2007, having that many yards. I think the last time that a Florida quarterback threw for 290 in like 3 straight games was back in like 2001, 2002 era. That's what I was looking at.
Wow.
So Yeah, it's crazy. It really is. So I'm really liking what I saw from the offense. Even Brett Hagee got the SEC Offensive Lineman of the Week. So a lot of good things from the offense. One thing though that actually I'll save. I want to nitpick here, but I'm trying to stay positive. So that's what was good from the offense. Defensively, Jonathan Grenard is a beast. He is a beast. He had himself a game, and what a great pickup he was in the offseason. Replacing Polite, he had 3 tackles and a sack, but the main stat he had was, I think, 3 or maybe even 4 deflected balls at the line, which is pretty good. It was really good. He was a force the whole game. It was good to see Bernie back from injury at linebacker. And in the past weeks, I had mentioned that Florida's linebackers are great against the run, but not so much coverage. He seems like a guy that is athletic enough to maybe hang with like a tight end or, your 4th or 5th receiver or running back. So it was good to see him back. He actually got a fumble recovery and an interception. It was good to see Trey Dean get an interception. It was good to see Marco Wilson get an interception. And shaking off the rust, he got a pick. He was the reason that Bernie got his pick, because Wilson left his receiver and made a play on the ball on another guy, and which caused the deflection, which Bernie dove for the interception there. So it was really good to see guys that you saw potential or were rusty really show out. And even like a guy like Jeremiah Moon filling in the end linebacker spot there, he had a great game as well. So a lot of positives. And anytime you hold anybody to 3 points on defense is phenomenal. Keeping them out of the end zone is really good. So I'm really happy about all the positives that were shown on Saturday.
How about that? So, yeah, I had a few things to add here real quickly before I do. I had a quick question. I think you've mostly answered this. So, Emory Jones, his skill set is more of a running quarterback. I was wondering why they only threw 2 passes or something like that. So he is a runner then? Is that his main forte?
Yeah, he's a dual threat guy. He can sling it. He really can. Majority of his reps came in the second half, and the majority is when we had a big lead, and he was just kind of handing it off there. But he got some playing time first half as well. But that's his main thing is running it. He's a running threat.
Okay.
He can sling it. He has an arm. But at this point, you got to worry about his legs first.
Interesting. Well, that makes a lot of sense for when he came out late in the game and then a couple series in the second or third quarter area. To echo some of your positive, yeah, I think it was 5 plays. He scored a touchdown on the first drive. That's something you want to give your quarterback confidence. His mom was there, hugging her friends. So, you got a quarterback off on the right foot. Yeah, it's interesting. This is a negative or positive necessarily. I'm not sure which category it falls into, but Trask does throw 2 interceptions. I wonder if the perception is just for Gator fans. Maybe you can weigh in on this. If Franks had thrown 2 interceptions and lost a fumble, would we be as forgiving? And I don't know that we would. So I'll give you a second now to think about that, and I'll weigh in. Other things that I saw were positive. He did kind of take his time and do his reads, and that was really good to see. I liked his decision making for the most part, and I did also like the decision on 4th and goal at the inch line right before half to go for it, mostly because at that point in the game, you have to only up 10-0, but you're like, it feels like it should be a lot more. Mm-hmm. So after the touchdown, you go up 17-0. I like that more reflects how this game is actually being played out. So that's from the positives. I'll kind of let you weigh in on Trask and go from there.
Yeah, and you make a really good point because, I mean, he put up numbers that Franks kind of did, but he just looks different. And I think that the thing that separates him and Franks is a better runner just naturally. Franks doesn't want to run. Kyle didn't run much, but he knows that he has to run sometimes. But when Franks throws that interception, it's going to be a coin flip whether he's going to just cave in or or rally. And Trask, even though he threw like pretty much back-to-back picks, he didn't like seem rattled, and he continued to execute. But you're right. Like if Franks throws those 2 picks, which were into double coverage both times, yeah, you're probably going to be upset about him, really. And what's the most popular position? It is the backup quarterback.
Sure.
And right now we still kind of like that back, but you get into a game where like an Auburn or LSU when you make that play, then where it's costly when you don't have a lead against an inferior team. Yeah, you're probably going to get grilled. Yeah. So I'm not like a lot of people are over the moon of Trask, and he deserves a lot of credit. I'm not there yet, but I see the potential. I absolutely see the potential. I think with Trask, though, a lot of Gator fans are just kind of like, maybe the ceiling isn't as high, but I don't think the basement is nearly as low as Frank's.
Okay.
If that makes sense.
It does, absolutely.
And so we kind of seem like just manage the offense. It's not all about you. It starts with you, but you have a guy like Piron. You have Swain. You have, when Tony gets back, you'll have him. You have Hammond. Chuck it up there, see what Grimes can do. Even though the ball was short, see what a playmaker can do one-on-one.
Yeah.
So I think Trask seems just not as rattled, and he seems a little bit more steady than Franks. I think that's why Gator fans are just kind of like gravitating towards him right now.
Okay. That's pretty fair. And I also, to some degree, even a little bit, if not 100%, Franks did kind of villainize himself, so he may be some to blame for that. But I did have one more positive, and I almost forgot. And absolutely, with Grenard, you're correct. And I forgot his story that they were kind of recapping during the game about his, I think it was Louisville he was at, and he followed Grantham to UF. So good for him, and he's certainly going to be in the NFL next year. So
yeah, when he was during the offseason, when he was being interviewed, he was like talking about transitioning from Louisville to Florida. It's like it's the same defense, it's the same lingo, and you could see he doesn't have to catch up. He's already there. So it's really paying off for us. As far as the negatives, we did it again where we start off the game hot, we get a touchdown, and we get a stop, and then we get the ball again, and then we get a turnover. And it's just annoying to me, like everything's clicking and then a turnover. Turnovers are killing us this year. I think we had like 14 turnovers all last year. We have 9 so far.
Wow.
And that is not good. And so far, it's not cost us a game. It almost did against Kentucky. And you could say Miami as well. We got to clean that up. Malik Davis fumbled again. Thankfully, the Tennessee defender was out of bounds when he touched it. It's just we got to clean those up. It's going to hurt us if we continue to turn the ball over as much as we do, every game. So Mullen wasn't really upset about Trask's interceptions. I was. They were both in a double coverage. Seemed like both times he misread the guy coming over the top, the help defender, or underestimated him. And Mullen kind of like, no, we talked. He's fine. He's good with that. Mullen was upset with the fumbles because, and Mullen got a good point. It wasn't like the defender just made a great hit where he blew the guy off his cleats and the ball fell off. No, our guys are just being careless with the ball, and that's frustrating. So we have to absolutely clean that up. So that's really the biggest nitpick is the turnovers. Tackling's a little bit better. Run blocking. It's just I'm thinking of things that were going on the last few weeks. That was an issue for us. Running got a little bit better. I would still like to see P. Ryan maybe break one. There are some times where tackling could get better, but overall, it's the turnovers that we have got to clean up. But that's about it, really. I said all this knowing who the opponent was.
Yeah.
But really, you can't get too upset when you win 34-3. Really.
Yeah, and against an SEC opponent, you're probably right. There were some things that Tennessee did to not help their cause.
Yeah.
Jennings is probably their best player on offense. They fed him, I think, 6 passes in the first half, and maybe he had 1 catch in the second half, so he just disappeared. That was kind of silly. Maybe that was because he had a pass interference on a punt return. Why he's on special teams, I'm not quite sure, but whatever. Tennessee, the only time they looked impressive were the first drives of each half. That was the only result of points was the first possession of the third quarter. They did things like they overthrew a wide open wide receiver who probably would have scored a touchdown. And they had multiple self-inflicted penalties. Like, come on, people. A delay of game out of a timeout. This just can't happen.
That's awful.
That's probably a good sign of where Tennessee is. I'm not sure. And I'm trying to give Tennessee the benefit of the doubt, given we did interview an Associated Press writer for this team last week. But I think probably even Steve would agree. There's not a whole lot of positive coming out of this game. There just isn't.
No, you can't. I mean, when you have a guy that's throwing an interception right to our defender,
you would have thought Marco Wilson was wearing Tennessee orange. I mean, it was just so bad.
And at first, I was like, "Why is he even bobbling it?" But then I'm like, "Well, on all the scenarios that he played in his head, I don't think he thought the ball's going to go right to me.
To him.
Probably caught him off guard."
Yeah.
In their Jennings, their best receiver, he drops the
ball.
The
touchdown.
A touchdown. You're right.
I mean,
so they handled us a bunch of stuff.
Sure, and I mean that touchdown early in the game would have changed things. It would have at least given them some kind of momentum or spark, but instead it turned into a pick. So there were a couple of things I did notice with Florida that I think they might also want to clean up. Besides the turnovers, that's a big concern. I think you kind of weighed in on that enough. Outside receiver blocking. This is something I've seen Florida State improve upon, which is why it caught my eye.
Okay.
Emory Jones threw a lot of screen passes, and Trask did that as well. Your wide receivers have to hold blocks better. I didn't see a lot of initiative to do that, and I understand. As a wide receiver, you don't want to think that's your key job, but it's hugely important in a lot of situations, and I think it needs to get cleaned up. There were some passes to the outside. I was like, well, that actually could have been a 5 or 6 yard play that Florida could use down the road as like a quote-unquote rushing down, and that didn't happen. Trask taking too long in the pocket, that was probably accountable for nearly all of his interceptions and or fumble.
Mm-hmm.
Coaching decision, you got 4th down inside the 30-yard line instead of trotting out McPherson, who's only missed 2 or 3 in his entire career. You go for it, you don't make it. And I mean, on defense, again, I'm nitpicking here. 3rd and 16, you give up a 1st down to Jennings on a pass. It's going to happen, I guess, but just some things they want to clean up. Yeah,
even Mullen agreed that 4th down. He was like, that was probably on me. So he owned up to it.
That's good.
I agree. He's real aggressive with the 4th down calls. I didn't realize, last year and this year, he's pretty aggressive with going, like, faking kicks to just going for it on 4th. Didn't get all of them, but he's getting a lot of them, and it's just interesting to see.
It is.
A lot of them I don't agree with, honestly, but they work out most of the time.
And if you have a kicker who's on, he's not so great, I totally understand that. And actually, the numbers kind of support more often than not, you should go for it. So I would say 2/3 of the time you probably should. That position, you're dominating Tennessee, I would have taken 3. But I think it was in the next possession they ended up scoring a touchdown or scoring anyway, so it didn't really matter. And there was really no point in this game where I'm like, I don't know, Tennessee might win this game. I never actually thought that.
Mm. Yeah. Once we turned it over early, I was like, please don't be like a Miami, a Kentucky game where we just start off great and then that turnover like kills our momentum. We didn't do that. We forced a turnover at the end, in the end zone, and things changed. And after that, you kind of felt, all right, they're hanging around a little bit, but it's clear that we're the better team. And we finished, so that was good.
I agree. All right. Good synopsis. Any last thoughts on the Gators before we move on?
No, just I love beating Tennessee, so I'm very, very happy.
Yeah. It doesn't matter the year. It doesn't matter the record. It doesn't matter if they win 3 or 4 games this year, which is probably likely. You beat them pretty badly, and we've seen plenty of rivals do the opposite. to a team. So
Yep.
no win's guaranteed. Awesome. So the Gators are victorious at home. Florida State is also victorious at home against an ACC opponent. And both teams get to eat their cake and have it too. Yeah. Very good. By the way, I did not flip that phrase. Eat your cake and have it too is the actual correct form of that.
Okay.
I can give you a history lesson if you want. But basically, around the 1500s,
yeah, please do.
It got switched. Somehow, we now say, have your cake and eat it too, and that's wrong. The correct phrase is, eat your cake and have it too.
Okay. I do remember something that someone was saying that the phrase is wrong, but I didn't know what they meant, so that's good.
That's true. Eat your cake and have it too. So this ends up being true for both of our teams. Florida State at home shines, and I'll use the same format as always, the positives, the opportunities, and I love doing this after a win. You can probably hear the smile on my face.
Yeah, I can.
It's great. There's a lot of things coming out of this game that just gives you a lot of hope for the Noles. Hornerbrook comes in, and I'll talk about plenty of the injury stuff later. He comes in and he cleans up a victory that was probably in question, but is not any different from any other game this year. You have Great Acres shows up for this one.
That's good. Yeah.
29 carries. I'm almost worried about his workload, but you do you, Bo. 29 carries, 112 yards, 3 touchdowns, a career high. It's so nice to see things that probably most Florida State fans would agree with. To see DJ Matthews returning punts, and he can do things like he can actually take a ball off of a bounce. I know this sounds really silly, but we've had so many bad punt returners that I'm like, I don't even know if he should fair catch this. We should lose 20 yards of field position and risk not having a turnover. To see him, he can do that, and he just has the moves. So happy to know that. Helton, wide receiver, is probably our best wide receiver this year. I never thought I would say that a month in. Tamarian Terry has kind of disappeared here and there, and he's really just like a touchdown guy. He's kind of reverting to his I'll catch 3 to maybe 5 max a game. But Helton had 7 catches for 96 yards and a very important touchdown because it was Hornerbrook's first pass of his career at FSU.
Yeah.
So right. That was exciting. Kept the offense electric. Late in the game, Florida State is trailing by 3. Louisville's going down to drive, and you think, okay, we're going to go down by 10. Nope. We actually, on consecutive plays, commit a tackle for loss and pick off the quarterback in the red zone. And then when it mattered and it was late in the game, we had long passes, one of which was to Terry, and then we got another one after a penalty for Louisville where Akers scored his 3rd touchdown. So we really took advantage of the Louisville penalties and mistakes and miscues late in the game to seal the win. So that was really, really good. But go ahead. Any positives for Florida State?
Yeah, absolutely. Like they learned how to finish a game, and because this is the same script. Florida State goes up big early. Florida State blows a big lead, and we'll see what happens at the end. Right? This is pretty much every game so far this year. But they figured out a way to close the game. Right? They figured out a way to win. And that's really good for them. It's really good. Like you said, that interception was crucial. You got to love Akers. You got to love just his productivity and getting the touchdowns and not fumbling and being reliable. The stuff that we talked about earlier. Can he do all this? And he's doing it. So you absolutely got to love that. And how about Hornibrook stepping in? How about the year of the backups, right? In the state of Florida.
Right.
So him coming in and you seeing that, okay, he's a veteran. He's played at a big-time school. He knows what he's doing. So having that guy, that steady hand, if you will, really crucial for the Noles. And you're right, the blocking from the receivers, that I think the first touchdown sprung him. I don't know the receiver's name, but it went down. Or no, it was wasn't a touchdown, but it was a long gain. Yeah. Earlier in the year, there was a short pass to Terry, and it was a great blocking by the receivers, which he took, like 60, 70 yards to the house. So, yeah, absolutely. They're still doing that. And you see the glimpses of once things are going offensively, the tempo is really tough to catch up to. It really is. Anytime you go over 500 yards total is good.
Yeah.
And but the thing that really I take away from that is outscoring them in the fourth quarter, 14-7, and closing out, knowing that here we go again.
Yeah.
Everyone's talking about it. You know that the sidelines are thinking it, the stands are thinking it, people at home are thinking and saying, "Here we go again." But to rally and to not give up, it's really good for them.
Yeah, and I mean, with the offense, just to further your thought on the wide receivers, I'm losing track of wide receivers' names too, and I'm like, hang on. We got Helton. We got Terry. It's on Terry Wilson. We got this. That's Gabe Neighbors, a tight end, a backup tight end at that. Oh, there's Trey McKitty. It's just such a good distribution, and it's not like they each catch one or two a game. I mentioned Terry kind of does, but they're all big plays. But it's like they're catching 3, 4, 5 a game, each of these guys. They're spreading the ball around so well, and it's not like, we have to throw the ball. It's like we still have Cam Akers who can go for 100 yards at any time, plus bust a long run. He's running so much more light-footed with much more confidence, and he's doing slight touchdown celebrations, like he threw some dice. He scored his third TD, and that's just a good thing to have. A little bit of swagger, but it's not like annoying to me. Like, trust me, if it was annoying, I'd tell you. It's just enough where I'm like, just keep the confidence up because you're doing well. Yeah. By the way, he's already matched his touchdown total from last season. Last year, he only had 8 touchdowns. He's already got that in 4 games.
Oh, okay.
This guy is on fire, and unfortunately, he's gonna be gone next year. We'll worry about that later.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, right.
So not all was great. We did win at home, but when it came to the early fourth quarter, Chris, I almost to the point where I just can't look. It's like a horror movie where you have your eyes covered with your fingers and you're peeking through. Mm-hmm. I was like, this is not happening again. Mm-hmm. And when Louisville's driving up 3 they get inside the 30-ish yard line, I'm like, this is it. They're going to score a touchdown on this drive. We're going to go down 10. It's over. We're going to start 1-3. We're going to have 0-2 in the conference. Bowl records in jeopardy. Maybe they weren't right. Maybe we're only going to win 4 or 5 games. And 2 plays completely changed my whole perspective of the season. Not game, not first half of the year, the entire season. So now I really fully believe Florida State's a 7-win team. But the problems are still there. Still a lot to work on. The biggest thing is the hot and cold.
Right.
Don't be lukewarm. Okay? Don't continue this trend of I'm going to score 4 touchdowns on 4 drives. And then the next 4 drives, I'm going to run about 8 or 9 plays and punt 3 times and turn it over. Or I'm going to give up on defense a wheel route that's going to go for 60 yards. Or my linebackers are going to play out of position. Or I'm going to blow a coverage. I really thought special teams was shored up. But then all of a sudden, Aguayo is 0 for 3 in this game, inexplicably. Yeah. So we're going to have to play a new game. It's called Good Aguayo, Bad Aguayo.
Okay.
And
you think so? Cam is he can he's just gonna doesn't have a game with him anymore.
I hope not. Let's put it to the side and not put it away in the game closet yet. But I think we're firmed up that it's good or great acres for a while until proven otherwise. And I'll put Aguayo in the same category because this was a rare thing. I don't know that he's ever in his career done this. 0 for 3, and I realize some of those were long, but still. A week ago, you hit these just fine without a problem. So, but it wasn't just the kicking. We did have a kickoff return that was returned all the way for a touchdown, but it got negated by a penalty, so we kind of dodged a bullet there. We did give up a fake punt conversion, which actually led to Louisville's first score. So it's a little deeper than the kicking. So I was very concerned with that in this game. We gave up a 3rd and 14. I forget what point in the game that was, but it's still bad. And then after we had the interception late in the game, with about 8 minutes to go, I think we took a sack, tackle for loss, and a penalty, so it ended up being a 2nd and 25. So, those 2 plays before that, with the tackle for loss and the pick on defense, they were almost negated in my mind. But Hornibrook made a fantastic throw that put me back straight. He put me back in my place. Where he threw a pass to DJ Matthews, and we converted. It was like a 27-yard pass, and the next play was the pass to Marion Terry that put us up for good. So there were a lot less negatives in this game than I would have liked, and I'm going to be honest, Chris, this is the best you're going to see Florida State's defense the rest of the year. Marvin Wilson was all in the backfield. You did have Nasruddin, who's questionably ready to return, still kind of dinged up.
Okay.
You had some misplays. Obviously, you're just going to have to live with that, but our rush defense has always been good, and Louisville's a very heavy run team, and we stopped it. I think they only had like 50-something rushing yards in the first half combined. So it was fantastic, but it was the pass defense that really got after it in this game that really impressed me. So we figured out something there. Robinson on the outside has really figured out a way to get some pressure, along with the interior, which is what we always had. So it's just all the pieces are there. They're just not playing the game at the same time. Yeah. And if they ever do, I really feel like this is a very, very good team that can challenge anyone in the country. But once we get the harmony there, which I think is getting to be the common norm within the locker room, I think we're going to be all right.
Okay. Yeah, the thing that sticks out with me, and I've already touched on this, but you got to figure out a way to not let teams back in. Once you get a lead, figure out a way to not let off the gas, and like you said, like be consistent. Like if you're gonna score, in 4 straight drives, why not make it 5? Why not make it 6? At least not 3 and out. Like just something. And I think what really the turning point there in the game was that fake punt, scoring right before the end of the half there, and so Florida State scores 21 in the first and 14 in the fourth, but nothing in the middle. That's gotta change.
Yeah,
for sure. You gotta shore that up. One thing I do, an area of improvement for Louisville is what are they doing on that Terry pass?
Yeah.
There was definitely some kind of mix-up because everybody on that side blitzed, including the corner, and nobody covered him.
None.
At a crucial time in the game, too. Shades of Kentucky, Florida last year. So, I mean, the guy started off, it wasn't like they were switching guys off, rotating people in, and he just forgot where he was at. The guy was there. He blitzed in, but I don't know. So, yeah, Louisville's definitely got to clean that up for sure. But no, good job for Florida State. Closing out, finishing a game, letting their playmakers make plays. And I know this is a win that you guys definitely wanted to have.
Yeah, and more on that Terry pass. That's what I was kind of alluding to with the advantage of Louisville miscues. I mean, good Lord, there's not a bigger one. And honestly, if you point to that as the winning, well, it put us up for good. So you can just say that's the second year in a row Louisville just gave us a win.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we did earn the next drive where we scored. Well, Aguayo got roughed, so that would have been his only made field goal of the game, but we scored a touchdown anyway. By the way, the field goal there was the right choice. Go up 7. You figure you're not probably not going to let them score anyway. So, yeah, there's that. And you're right. I think the third touchdown technically was the first play of the second quarter, but whatever. So you go up 21-0, 14 minutes left in the half. And you're right, the gaps in scoring are too large. But there's also 3 missed field goals. So you could either argue the fake punt or Aguayo's first missed field goal was the turning point in this game. It was right around that time period. Those are back-to-back drives. But
yeah. Special teams, you see some improvement on defense. You definitely see the potential on offense, but special teams really struggling for sure.
Jeez, yeah. Like I said, I mean, you're like, okay, we got both shirt up. Oh, okay, now the special teams are going to mess up. So
yeah,
let's get all 3 on the same page.
Mm-hmm.
So very happy for the win. Let me weigh in on the injuries real quick. Blackman does get hurt, and he got an MRI. It's not a tear or anything like that. It's just a sprain or a bone bruise, so he is day-to-day technically. If I'm Willie Taggart, which I am not, I would actually sit Blackman this week because we know we have a bye week after NC State. You give him essentially 3 weeks of rest before he decides whether or not he wants to come back or play. Hornerbrook, either's not a bad decision, so it's feel like a win-win. Jalen Lars would be. This is sad news. He is gone for the year. And he was a second year, and he was kind of a jack of all trades. He was safety / linebacker. And, yeah, it will be kind of a loss. But talent-wise, I feel like we're still going to kind of be okay because, again, with defense, I'm just not going to sugarcoat. This is probably the best performance you're going to see of the year. It's not going to get better than this. And that's, maybe a chance for another guy to step up and do a little bit of a youth movement in that position. So a little bit of positive spin there. And then I mentioned Nasruddin. I'm not so sure he's 100% healthy. We've already lost Kando for the year, which is a huge, huge loss. He was best performer through the first 2.5 games. So, yeah, it is what it is. With the quarterbacks, Hornerbrook supposedly was right behind Blackman in the race. And you saw he came out and Hornerbrook threw 15 of 20 for 255 and 2 touchdowns second half. And in that same amount of work, Blackman 11 of 14 for 127. So they're about as equally as efficient, but Hornerbrook had 2 more TDs and almost double the passing yards. So you do the math and tell me who you'd prefer.
Yeah, I still like Blackman, but I don't think it's a huge drop off to Hornerbrook, really. But he did good this game. So key stat on this: no interceptions. So really, really, really good.
Yeah.
So I think they'll be fine. I think it's not too much of a drop off with him.
Right. And production wise versus leadership wise, those are 2 very different questions. Let me clarify that. Mm-hmm. Blackman's clear leader of this team. And you could see it in the reaction when he went down. I was nervous, but the Slim Reaper does have a little bit of work to do when it comes to passing, and and by no means will take a backseat to what's going on the field. Right. And Hornerbrook's the new guy, and he came in late. I forgot about this. He came in very, very late because he graduated and didn't come in until like spring or summer. And Blackman's been there for a while, and his teammates love him. So.
Yeah.
There's always going to be a disconnect, and I think Hornerbrook is going to have to learn that's okay. Otherwise, he's not going to have any chance at this. So those are my thoughts.
Right.
All right. Well, that's all my thoughts for Florida State. Anything else you want to
add? No, I'm good, man.
Cool. All right. So we're going to travel down to Coral Gables for our next recap, and that'll be the Miami Hurricanes hosting Central Michigan.
Wow. I don't know what to say about this one. Miami does get a win. 17-12 in a game that they should not have even messed around with. But I remember I wasn't watching the game. I was following it, and I saw at halftime the score was 7-2, and I was like, "What?" And I knew some people were on our Instagram account talking about Central Michigan winning, and I thought they were joking, but turns out they might have been for real. They almost called the upset there.
Yeah.
In Miami, I don't know what's going on with Miami. They're backpedaling a little bit. Central Michigan's not a good team,
no. And
for you to have to squeak out a win against them, it's not good. They scored. To pull within 5 with like 3 minutes left. I mean, you're up by 12 for the majority of the, something like that, 9 points majority of the game. But it shouldn't be that way. It should have been more the 34-3. Like that's how it should be. But they did some good things. Williams looks pretty good at quarterback, decent, 250 and a touchdown. And Dallas, he got a touchdown, but 34 yards and 14 carries.
Yuck.
That's not good. Harris 20 yards on 9 carries. Is Central Michigan a great run defense that we just weren't aware of, or is Miami not good? Like I don't understand. Like I know Dallas is a talented running back.
Yeah. And
for them to not do anything on the running game is pretty sad. Jordan, decent, 70 yards in the air, but it's just a sloppy, ugly game from Miami.
Yeah, and you have to point to the offense on this one because to only score 17 points on an opponent out of the Mighty Mac is just not okay. Yeah. You're right, but the 34-3, the key point of that is 34. You should have scored double this. When you're only netting 300 yards at home against an opponent like this, it's not acceptable. You're right. And the biggest thing is Central Michigan was able to figure out a way to stop the run, or, I really think that some of Miami's offensive line problems are going to start showing their ugly head. And, I look at this Miami team and I'm like, I think Florida State can beat them now. I was really convinced 2-3 weeks ago you couldn't, but Miami does not seem to be getting any better. And, you can say they're looking ahead or, whatever you want to say, but you're looking ahead to ACC coastal opponents. Mm-hmm. And you got to take care of business first. And, I don't distrust McElwain as a good coach. And, maybe Central Michigan is a good fit for him. But, Manny Diaz, and this is, he's inheriting another team. I also get that. But shouldn't come out flat like this.
Yeah, especially after a win last week. I know it's Bethune-Cookman, but still, it's a great, huge win, and you think it's going to spark the program, but it didn't. Some stats that stuck out: 1 for 10 on third down for Miami. That's not good.
Yeah.
And penalties, 13 penalties for 93 yards. You saw that with Florida. Penalties killed them too. Kill them again here. There's a positive. You did win, and that is good. But, man, was it ugly.
Yeah. And, I mean, with the offensive line, you give up sacks that you probably shouldn't. I think, was it 4? Yeah. 4 sacks. That's just a sign of something bad, and we'll talk about UCF's sack rate a little bit. But, oh, yeah, there's a lot of room for concern there, and you may struggle to beat some decent opponents and compete in the ACC with that kind of performance.
Yeah. Now that you're seeing that UNC loss, now that UNC is starting to reel back, it's really shedding some light on this team. And it really hurts Florida's win against them, honestly.
Sure.
I was hoping they would help us out by winning some games, but now it's making that win not look so pretty,
Yeah, it's tough sledding.
Yeah.
For sure. Yeah, there's not a whole lot of positive out of this one. There really's not.
No. The only positive is the W. Everything else is gross.
So we got the win.
Mm-hmm.
So, all right. Well, that's the Miami Hurricanes corner. Moving on to probably the most interesting matchup of the weekend. UCF goes on the road to Pittsburgh and loses by 1 point to the mighty pesky Panthers.
Yeah.
Wow, what a game. And I said a week ago, and I still stand by it. UCF performs extremely well against Stanford, Stanford's performance this season is not really helping UCF very much. It turns out Stanford is not going to be a great team. But that's not really UCF's fault. What can they do? To see what UCF did actually mostly impressed me. You're going to have these games, and heck, Chris, give you all the credit. You alluded to it. You said there's going to be 1 or 2 games a year you're going to underperform how you react. And this was it for UCF.
Yeah.
They went
I
down
thought it was going to be that game. Yeah. I really did.
And I knew there was a chance, but I said, they beat Pitt so soundly last year, and they beat Stanford so soundly 6 days ago. Not going to be a concern. Turned out to be a very different story in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. So they go down 21-0. They struggle, and the biggest thing here is the defensive line of Pittsburgh just got after UCF. UCF allowed 6 sacks in what is probably one of the best offensive lines in the country. And they were just terrible running the ball. And this is not something that UCF struggles with or has a problem with, but they're a team built around explosive plays. And they just really didn't have any of this game. The yard per catch was very good. Just the big plays over 20 yards just weren't there. They went 4 of 16 on third downs. Dylan Gabriel does what any freshman quarterback does and makes a couple mistakes. He throws 2 interceptions. And adjusting for sacks not counting as rushing yards, UCF rushed for 140, which as a team is not terrible, but isn't great. Especially given you have Otis Anderson, Adrian Killens, and all these other guys that can kind of just sub in and just kind of take the carries as they wish. So they definitely had to play a different type of game here. And I don't behoove them for this loss. In fact, I think that they've gained enough respect that they fell the appropriate number of places in the polls. They were 15, 16, they fell to 22. I said, well, if this was 2 years ago, they would have fallen completely out.
Yeah.
And lucky to have been ranked the rest of the year. So they definitely have gained the media's respect. But you're right. These are the types of games that you have to show up. And, they did play really well, and they showed a lot of heart coming back, and they still did make a couple of deep throws, especially to Gabe Davis and the like, and they had the right skill players getting involved late. Heck, I even thought when Pittsburgh was first and goal and they deflected a pass on second down, the D-back's name escapes me for a second, but it'll come to me in a second. When he deflects a pass in the end zone, I said, oh, he just saved UCF's season. They're going to win the game. And little did I know that Pitt would actually go for it and convert on fourth and 2 at the 1, technically. But I was still impressed, and it's a crushing loss for UCF, and I get it's only 1 point. It's to a middle of the road ACC team, but I kind of feel bad they're going to get roasted for losing this game, and they probably shouldn't.
Yeah, it's right. They are going to get roasted. They are going to. We'll see once you play a big time Power 5, yada yada yada. But if you watch the game, 2 things that stuck out to me. One, UCF got a taste of their own medicine, which is Pitt came out and it was up 21. Was it 21-0?
Yeah.
That's something that UCF has been doing all season long, and for them to be on the other side of that was just really odd to see. It really was. But then the other half is, they responded correctly, coming out in the third quarter, outscoring them 21-7, and really making it a ball game when it could have easily not been a ball game.
Yeah.
It really could have. So you got to give him credit. Gabriel, he's been money all season. Now he's really, like you said, freshman mistakes, throwing those 2 picks really hurting them. And UCF put themselves in a position to win, and they forced Pittsburgh to beat them. They didn't just give it the game. They forced, and Pittsburgh did. Gutsy call and good execution on what's a Pitt special.
Oh God.
Yeah, I think that's what they're calling it. Anyways, so you shouldn't get too down. They are going to slip in the polls and whatnot. This wasn't a conference game. You could still win your conference. You could still make noise later on in the season, especially if Memphis still keeps rolling and they face them in the conference championship game. Lots to look forward to. But it was just an odd game in that I wasn't used to – because I remember I did a double take when I saw the score. I watched the rest of the game, but I picked up when it was 21-0, and I did a double take because I really thought it said UCF was up 21-0.
Right.
But they had some explosive plays, but not enough. And they did pretty good. The second half just wasn't enough to put Pitt away. And you got to give Pittsburgh credit for calling that play and executing it. Yeah.
And, UCF played, the defense, if you had to pick out something that they've struggled with, the defense, especially on the rushing attack, has been their downfall. And you allowed a quarterback to rush for, I think, 61 yards or something, even though he was hurt and came out for almost close to a quarter. You got to stop that. You got to get it tapered back. You got to allow way less than that. And the pass defense has actually really recovered. Tate Gowan, that was the corner I was thinking of. Finally came to me, of course, now later. But he was the one that deflected a pass, I think, a second and goal. And he came up big, and he was a huge recruit and a good get for UCF. So he's actually kind of stepped in lieu of injuries and in lieu of, just general turnover. But stopping the rushing attack has been a problem. And when Pittsburgh got that lead and they were able to run the ball a lot, that was kind of the main reasons why UCF had a little less time to work with, had to rely completely on the passing game and the deep ball, which, heck, probably no better freshman quarterback in the nation to rely on that for. But you still have to have a good balance. And they did. They actually had a long punt return for a touchdown, which kept them in this game. But they also, on special teams on the other end, gave up a touchdown on a punt block. So, to me, it's kind of equaled out. You made up one mistake by punching in for another. And, Pittsburgh only wins by 1 point. Let's keep that in mind. And they do it on a trick play with less than a minute left. So, you did lose, but you are as close as equal to this team as you could ever be.
Yeah.
Because of the outcome. And you're right. They got down hard and they didn't give up. So, my opinion of UCF is not tainted. And the only thing that's really lost with this, in my opinion, is the college football playoff. I know it's kind of joking, UCF's going to make the playoff, the top 4, especially with the season it wasn't going to happen. But one thing let's remind ourselves of is that the New Year's Six Bowls do reserve one spot for the highest rank Group of 5 conference champion.
Mm-hmm.
And right now it's Boise State at 16, UCF's at 22. You probably just need Boise State to lose a game. Yeah, maybe you need a second one. Boise State does have that win over Florida State. Let's not forget that.
Right.
And you're still in the hunt. So there's 2 months left of the season. And given your dominance, you're going to come back against UConn this week. Spoiler, you're going to beat them. And you're going to get back on track. So I don't think there's a whole lot lost here, except that we had the streaks that ended with regular season wins. And, silly things like that. Your pride's hurt a little bit, but you're going to bounce back just fine.
Yeah, there's a lot of college football to play still, so wouldn't panic too. Yeah, it does stink, but I wouldn't panic too much. A lot to play for still.
Yep. Quick trivia question for you, Chris, if you don't mind.
Oh dear, I do, but go ahead anyway.
This is the first of 2. Before this loss to Pitt, who was the last head coach to beat UCF in the regular season?
Head coach. Ooh. I don't know if I know this one. Regular season.
Yep, regular season.
Who was it? I don't know.
Willie Taggart.
Really?
2016, he was the coach at USF.
Bulls.
Yep.
Okay.
That was the year UCF finished 6-6 regular season. Their last loss was to South Florida. They went on to lose in their bowl game, and in 2017 they ran the table.
Okay. That's a little nugget. Nice little nugget there.
Yeah, Willie Taggart. Last coach to be UCF regular season. Now it's Pat Narduzzi.
Right.
Yep.
That's cool. So, I was like, is it a current coach that I know?
Yeah.
Yes, it is.
Even I was taken aback by that. I was like, no, it was Charlie Strong. I was like, no. The first year he was at USF, he only lost 2 games, one of which was Central Florida. One was like Temple or something weird. Because that was one of the best games you'll probably ever see. It was that crazy UCF-USF game went back and forth, 49-42 final.
Yeah.
So, yeah, Willie Taggart.
Good on him.
Yep. All right. Well, anyway, UCF I think will be fine, but it's going to hurt for a little bit. But it's just look forward, and you're right. Not a conference loss. You still have plenty to play for and win the conference championship.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I'm pretty sure that they're hearing that all week from the coaches. But it's true. It's absolutely true.
It is. Yep.
All right. So moving along to FAU. They get a big win, 42-7 against Wagner, which we thought was going to be like that. Not much to say. They should have beat them like this, and they did. Robinson goes for 375 and 379 and 5 touchdowns, which is really good. And holding Wagner to 7 points. Anton had 11 catches for 4 touchdowns, also really good. But other than that, not much to say. They beat Wagner, and they should have beat Wagner.
Yeah, nothing out of there. Robeson did his job.
Yeah.
The rest of the offense did his job. Don't expect much, but more than. Yep.
Yeah. Move right along. And we have the next one. FIU, they traveled to Louisiana Tech. It was a Friday night, I believe.
Yeah.
And lose 31-43. Now, this is a back-and-forth game there until the end. Interesting stat, though. Louisiana Tech's kicker made 5 field goals. And they just kind of field goaled them to death at the end there to beat the Panthers there. But they fought at 0-2 in the conference after this loss, and I thought they had a chance of bouncing back. And they fought hard. It was a back-and-forth game, but Louisiana Tech was just too much for them in the end.
Yeah, I'm just like, come on, Panthers, pull this out, and they never did. they never had full control of this game. They played well for a good portion of it too. Morgan came back. He was pretty tough. You know, he had the offense rolling, and they just could not complete or made mistakes along the way that just ended up being costly. And you know, they give up, what was the onside kick late in the game where they just give up a TD. So I mean, it eliminated any hope, that the very small hope that they had left anyway. But yeah, I mean, I knew going in La Tech was probably a better team anyway. I was kind of grasping, kind of hoping FIU would recover, they get back on track, and I was wrong.
Yeah, tough loss for them. And I really feel bad for them. I do, but I mean, Louisiana Tech was just a better team, I guess.
Yeah, I had like FIU winning 9 games this year, and Morgan. I mean, you can't anticipate injuries. I get that, but they're not that good of a team. At least this far. No. I mean, they're close in a lot of areas, and they can recover. But on offense, they just seem to be not as aggressive, not coming out as willful as they wanted. Butch Davis is just not quite as getting his guys fired up as I would like. And hopefully that changes soon with the schedule coming up. But, yeah, so far I have just not have seen it for the Panthers.
Yeah. I think we said this was it last week or week before. Nothing really excites you about them.
Yeah.
And it's continuing that way.
Yeah, and La Tech's running back, he looked like, I'm just going to keep going back to Devin Singletary of FAU from last year. He was 67 yards, 3 touchdowns. But they actually did use him a little bit more than that. I kind of say that jokingly. But, you know, late in the game when they wanted some carries deep in their own territory, they still gave him the ball, and FIU just couldn't get the stops he needed. So,
yeah.
Heartbreaking loss on the road. And South Florida was off, so I think that rounds out everybody, correct?
Yep.
Wow. Not a dull week after all. It was very fun.
On to the next one.
Yeah. Coming into week 5. Florida Gators have a very formidable opponent in Towson. No. I'm just kidding. But what are some keys to victory, and what do you hope the Gators accomplish with week 5 against a weaker opponent?
Before we move forward,
sorry.
Can you tell me what state Towson is in?
I think I know this. I'm going to guess South Carolina.
No, I'll give you one hint. North
Carolina.
That's a good guess with my hint. No, Maryland.
Oh, okay.
Maryland. And they are let me see if I can do my math. The first of 4 Tigers we faced this year.
Oh, yeah. I remember you telling me that.
Yeah. And the second Cat that we faced this year. So they came into the swamp. They're pretty decent, for Towson. One thing you have to worry about them. They can score a lot of points. They scored over 40 in their last 3 games there. They lost in overtime to Villanova there, but they've put up 40 points. So you do have to worry about their offense a little bit. But the main thing for Florida, since you have, then 3 Tigers in a row. You have Auburn and then LSU next. The main thing for Florida is don't get injured. Just do not get injured. UT Martin, we lost Henderson and Tony. And so I really want Florida to be up 17-0 end of the first quarter and then put in the subs.
Okay. Be
up 21-0, 24-0 early second quarter, put in the subs. I want to see a lot of Emory Jones. I want to see a lot of Damian Pierce. I want to see a lot of the young receivers. It's a great chance to rotate in some offensive linemen that if a starter goes down later in the year, which inevitably they will.
Yeah.
Someone goes in. Whoever is replacing Gennard, I want to see him in early. Another chance for our D-backs to get in early. I think Henderson might be ready for the game, but I wouldn't play him. Tony might be ready for the game. I wouldn't play him. Just survive this game. I don't know if survive is the right word, but just get through it, get points, get reps. Maybe if you want to work on some packages and plays that You want to expand the playbook a little bit for Kyle Trask, go ahead and do that now. But really, just don't get injured. That's just my fingers crossed the whole game. It's just don't get injured, don't get injured, don't get injured.
I like that. That's actually, I'm not even being joking. That's a perfect synopsis of what you would want. And that's exactly what you shouldn't have the Miami Central Michigan where you squeak out a 5-point victory. You shouldn't have the Florida State lose Monroe where you go in overtime win by 1, and you won't. So kudos and cheers to that happening. Or not happening, is what I should say. But you're right. Work on the package, just flesh out the playbook, get all your backups, all the guys that earn the walk-on spot or something, get them some playing time. Don't get any.
Yeah, guys you think are going to redshirt, this is a great game to get them some experience.
Sure.
I want to see a lot of Jacob Copeland. He's a guy that you saw a little bit this past Saturday, and kind of he's the guy you think of when he's going to fill in that Tony role of sweeps and Wildcat stuff. So I would like to see him in maybe a Wildcat every now and then. And I want to see a lot of him on offense too.
Okay.
Yeah.
Awesome. All right.
Yep.
So good luck for the Gators on that. Florida State also is at home. They're hosting the NC State Wolfpack. A team that I always lament playing. It always gives us trouble, but I never consider a rival. Just because I really don't respect them as much. I mean, they're not that great of a program. They never even won their division, so why should I? Yeah, a little trash talk. Just because I'm just ticked off that for no reason they challenge us, and it makes no sense. I shouldn't be too cocky, though. They have beat us the last 2 years in a row.
Mm-hmm.
And not sure your preseason predictions, Chris. You might have predicted NC State to win this game. I can't remember. But anyway, this is a game where Florida State needs to capitalize on all the momentum we have. You need to tell your team, you know what? You shut out Louisville the last minutes of the game. You scored points to make this game go away. Akers is hot. After the last victory, Jim Leavitt, your new defensive analyzer, dances in the locker room. You figure out some things on defense. Yeah, special teams got some stuff to work on. We're back at home. The nation hates us. Let's use that as motivation. You got like 48,000 people in a stadium that holds about twice that. You have a lot of things going for you. We have a new leader. Blackman's not gone. He hasn't redshirted and decided to stay on the bench the rest of the year like De'Aaron King of Houston. He's continuing to have progress on every aspect of this team. It's just all finally starting to fall into place. And you tell your team, the Wolfpack is not as good as us. They lost to a West Virginia team who can't even run the ball. They struggled in just about every major opponent they've played in the last several years, and Dave Dorian just cannot seem to get it together. They have a lot of turnover. Last year they were the leading passing team in the ACC. No more. All these guys graduated and have moved on. You can beat this team at home. That's what you need to hammer to them. You need to do exactly what you did against Louisville and Boise State and in Virginia. You get up huge. You keep the lead. You continue to push the ball. You maybe go for it on 4th down or 2 if you're not confident in Aguayo. You score late in the game like you did against Louisville because you know you can do it now. You need to continue to make these things happen. You need to put your trust in your quarterback, Hornibrook. Blackman hasn't gone anywhere. He fully supports this guy. I hope the locker room understands that. And those are the keys to victory. I think we comfortably win this game. I'm going to take Florida State by 14.
Yeah, I think I had Florida State winning. There's some other games that I had them losing to, but if I'm Florida State, get the ball to Akers and tell Terry to go deep. They're good at that. Now, you made a good point earlier. Akers had 29 carries last week. That's a lot. Maybe not give it to him as much. But take away from last week and show that, like, hey, we can win. We are better than this team. This is a team that you should beat. I think NC State, just because they're like, I equate them to like Kentucky or Vanderbilt to Florida. Like, always just plays us tougher than it should. So I think NC State's going to do that. I think NC State's going to be annoying, but I think Florida State's going to pull away at the end. I think maybe you see a close game going into the 4th. Florida State pulls away 10 points, something like that.
Okay.
Just because I haven't seen the I don't know what it is from Florida State where you're an inferior opponent and I'm going to just stomp you.
Yeah.
I haven't seen that yet.
Hasn't been there.
So I can see Florida State jumping into another lead. I really can. I can also see NC State fighting back because we've seen this story every game this year. I don't know if it's going to be as close, as late, but I can see NC State putting up a fight for 3 quarters for sure.
Yeah, and you're absolutely right, Chris. Florida State has not put away an unfair opponent. Even when you go up 21-0 against Louisville, you're like, oh, still not comfortable. And sure enough, we were right. They scored 24 straight, and we're driving to take a 10-point lead. So there's a lot of reason to believe every team Florida State plays this year, even Clemson, a little foreshadowing here, you will probably see them go up and play well for a long time, even take a lead. But the defense will show its true colors second, third quarter and allow stuff that they shouldn't. So, yeah. Now, I think the Florida State is currently favored by 6, and both of us, you and I, have us covering the spread, and that's kind of encouraging. But I just haven't seen a lot from NC State that shows me that they can compete in this game long term. And I think the coaching's probably there, but the athletes are not. It's kind of my conception of this game. Plus, it's at home. I think they break the streak.
Okay, yeah. I'd say they're my 10. I think it's going to be another close game. It's going to be a stressful game.
Sure.
For you. It's just that's how Florida State is this year. But I think they pull it out by 10.
Nice. All right, cool. I'll let you move on, but some of your teams are in a bye week, so I'll let you cover that as well.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, so the only one that I have left is FAU, because FIU and Miami are on byes, but FAU goes to Charlotte. And they got a good win last week. I think they're going to be rolling. Robinson looked pretty good. I think he's got some confidence. He's 10 TDs to 1 interception this year, which is really good. So I'm going to go FAU on the road against Charlotte. Maybe closer than you would expect. 10, 13 points, but I think FAU gets the win.
Good call. I completely disagree.
Uh-oh.
Charlotte for the win. Charlotte's quarterback is rushing like crazy. This guy Reynolds is all over the field, and it's going to be tampered, watered down, tampered. Not sure
tampered,
what I was. Tampered, watered down. I was kind of confusing the two. Sorry, because they just came off of a Clemson loss, which obviously Clemson's going to beat everybody they play this year, I think. So it isn't.
They only lost by 42 though.
Yeah,
so.
only. Yeah. They scored 10, so good for them.
They did. Yeah.
But Reynolds has been all over the field, and people are underestimating the 49ers. I'm going to take Charlotte to win at home.
Okay.
This is actually like a pick'em game in Vegas. I think at one point FAU was favored by 1, but
really
they're very, very equal on the field.
I have FAU bigger than that. I really do.
Do you?
Yeah, I said 10-13. Let me backtrack a little bit now that I saw the line. We'll go FAU 8.
8? Okay.
I don't know how 8.
Kiffin goes for 2. He's crazy. He does it.
If anyone can figure out 8, Lane's the guy. So
yeah, and this is going to be a closely contested game, and I like the way the offenses are improving, and the defenses are just good enough for conference play. So you're going to have one of those, low to mid 30s type of game, I think.
Yeah.
But yeah. Okay, cool. So I'm taking Charlotte there. UCF will be hosting UConn, and I don't see any way.
I feel bad for UConn.
Yeah, I don't see any way this even remains competitive. UConn, by the way, last year set records for how much their defense allowed. I think it was one of the worst in Division I football history. It was that bad. And you have to recover from that. And UConn is clearly one of the worst teams in the country. So I feel like this may be like, UCF's coming off a loss, we're taking out their frustration. They're just going to just trounced them. I would not be surprised if they score 50 or 60 on UConn.
The real question is, do they cover the 43.5?
Is that where it's at?
43.5.
Let's see. That's a good question because I'm trying to do some math in my head here. I said 50s or 60s. It's just a matter of how much they give up on defense. Let's just say they give up 10, like some kind of ridiculous touchdown, which UCF tends to do. Some kind of field goal. Maybe their kicker misses it. Yeah, I'll take them to cover the spread. I will.
Okay.
That's how little faith I have in UConn. They are bad, bro.
Yeah,
they are really bad.
They squeaked out a win against Wagner this year. And that is it.
About that.
So, yeah.
Ooh, yeah. So good luck, UConn. This is, by the way, the last time they're going to play because UConn's leaving the American. This is their last year. So send them out with a good butt whooping.
Yeah,
that's what it's going to be.
So.
All right, and then South Florida will play SMU. The Mustangs, undefeated.
Yeah.
Coming off of a win against a ranked TCU team. I was wrong initially about my, Sonny Dykes and all their quarterbacks and everything at SMU. They do have a transfer, Shea Michelle, who came out of Texas, and apparently they're for real. So if you're any kind of decent team, that means one thing: you're going to beat South Florida.
Yeah. Yep. You see, South Florida does have a couple things going for them. They're coming off a bye. They're at home, and that's it.
Yeah, I mean, Strong tried to make some changes in offense last week. We kind of talked about, I think, previously, but maybe you pull Barnett from McLeod, and maybe you get some other running backs involved. But I don't. The way the SMU's rolling right now, I just don't see any way they lose this game.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a little bit of a struggle, but SMU is just a better team, and will be on Saturday.
Okay. All right. Well, that's a pretty good, interesting lineup. But after that, it gets a little more interesting week by week by week, especially for the Gators. My goodness.
Yeah. A little bit.
Awesome. Any final thoughts on Week 5 predictions, or 5 recaps, and then next week's predictions?
No. We're got a little bit of a tune-up for the Gators, and then the real play begins. So you have one more week of feeling pretty relaxed, and then things just get a little bit more tense.
Just a little bit.
Yeah.
Just a little bit. Just tiny bit, maybe.
Yeah, it's a smidge.
Maybe the fact that you face, 3 top 10 teams in the next 4 or 5 weeks, it's just a little bit harder.
Yeah, just a smidge. Yeah. I just looking at the top teams, like we play them, we play them, we play them, and if we win all 3, our prize is Alabama.
Yeah.
So great.
It's crazy. And I know we're going a little bit longer than usual, Chris, but I do have, before we wrap up today, I do have one more trivia question for you.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. Name the current 5 head coaches who have won a national championship as head coach, all active. All these 5 coaches are active. There's 5.
All right. So, Saban.
Wrong. I'm kidding.
Wait.
Yeah.
Okay, what? 5 head coaches that have won national championships.
As head coaches, yeah.
Active.
Yeah. Active.
Saban, Sweeney, Jimbo.
Yep.
I know that.
Those 3 are kind of easy. The next 2 are a little harder.
Have one. I have to think. He doesn't play. He retired. Give me a few more seconds.
Okay.
Running through. Active. That's the key word. It's killing me.
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe my time might be up.
All right, so I'm gonna give you the one. The schools they won the title at, or the schools they're at now.
That they're at now. Maybe that'll make it harder for me. Or they won the title at. What's gonna be harder?
It probably gives it away either way, honestly.
Oh, okay. Go ahead, just tell.
The school they won the title at was LSU for the first one.
So that's Saban?
But you already got him. Yeah. There's another one.
At LSU.
You mean to give you the year too? 2007.
Oh yeah, duh. The Mad Hatter. Yeah.
Les Miles. Yeah.
Yeah, the Mad Hatter.
At Kansas currently.
That's right. I forgot he came. Yeah.
All right.
And that. For some reason, when he said LSU, I just kept hitting Saban.
Saban, yeah, because he won there in 2002 before he left the NFL.
Yeah.
All right, there is one more, and the school he won the national title at was Texas.
Oh, yeah, Mac
Brown. Yeah. For some reason, those two guys just slipped my mind. Somebody mentioned the other day. I was like, oh, that's a fun one. I'll bring it up on the show.
Yeah.
Because before this year, there were only 3. And Jim only won one of those. You know, it's just like an embarrassment of riches with the other schools.
Mm-hmm.
So, share the wealth, guys.
Yeah.
Because Urban Meyer's retired, so he had won several.
Yeah.
But anyway, just a little fun for you. So what other trivia questions or other feedback can our fans and community submit to us if they want to give some input on the show today?
Go right to FloridaFocusedPodcast.com. You're going to find many other outlets, Twitter, Instagram, email, anything. That's the main place to go. And please give us your feedback. Hit us with some Florida, the state of Florida trivia, whatever it is. We'd love to hear from y'all.
Yeah, very good.
Florida football, that is, not, the actual state.
Yeah, don't send us your Florida Man Google Challenge stuff. We don't really care about that so much. So, but, it's still fun.
Leave that Ponce de Leon stuff at home.
Indeed. Also, just a quick reminder, through those same venues, continue to submit your favorite in-game experiences that kind of made an impression on you. So your favorite in-game experiences for games you were attended or made an impression on you of all time. This is a season-long contest, and as you enter these, you will be entered into a drawing for a very big prize at the end of the year to help with your Christmas shopping just a little bit. We will send it to you for free.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
That fridge. We're going to send you the fridge for free.
No. It's not it. But I feel like next week, maybe the week after that, I'm going to tell everybody what it finally is.
Just tell them now that it's a fridge. It's fine.
No, it says no fridge. But
so the man is giving away a fridge.
Who would want a fridge? I don't,
People that don't have fridges.
Maybe our listeners don't have a fridge and they would really, if you win and you really want a fridge, let me know. I'll see what I can do. No promises, but I'll just see what I can do. It'll be a mini fridge. I mean, I can tell you that.
But we ain't messing around with
we'll try and make it happen.
Whirlpool. Come on.
Yeah. Now. With the TV on the door and all that mess.
Yeah.
Awesome. All right, Chris. Been a long one, but it was fun. But any final thoughts on this before we wrap up?
No, I'm glad that we're doing this, and I appreciate you. I appreciate the fans.
Yeah, so do I. And thank you, everyone, for listening. We appreciate the support. This is Brandon saying, go Noles.
Go Gators.